what are the top filing mistakes when you file an application and you want to avoid them? Friends, welcome to Green Card Guys TV. I'm your host, John Ting, and I'm ready to share any advice possible on the channel. And number one is that you don't want to pay by money order. To explain this a little bit further is because some of y'all call in and say, John, how do I know for sure the government received the package and accepted the package? Now, of course, I'm hoping, I guess as a bonus tip, that you mailed it with a tracking number, whether it's USPS, snail mail, at least some kind of tracking number, 1 or 2 days, doesn't matter as long as it's some kind of tracking number. You'll get the tracking number will show that it's delivered, but then you still haven't received the receipt notice. And some of y'all ask, well, it's been 3 weeks, I still haven't received anything. Don't give the government too much credit. They're not that quick. If you file it online and your petition is allowed to be filed online, great. They do provide it instantaneously. Okay, every time we filed online. We don't file online every time because sometimes there's glitches, unfortunately. The government system is not 100% as smooth as we want it, unlike private companies. Keep that in mind. Tip number 2 is that some people don't provide the correct payment. And it's very unfortunate, and it happens because even if you pay them more than you're supposed to, they still reject it. Of course, they don't want to be alleged for taking more money than they need to be. So currently, before the fees increase, by the way, when you apply for what we call concurrently filing, if you're here in the United States and you entered with a visa or you qualify for an exemption, our team calls it golden ticket, where if you enter without a visa, but you qualify for something called 245I, or if it's VAWA. 245I, by the way, is if you had a petition filed on your behalf, maybe it was by a parent or a sibling, a family member, essentially, that was before April 30th, 2001, then you don't have to leave the country. Another golden ticket, by the way, sorry, side tangent, is that you have a military family member who's in the military or even reserves counts, and then you don't have to leave the country. It's a great thing. Y'all got to take advantage. Now, I know there's some family conversations, gets a little awkward. Maybe your son or daughter's like, yeah, I'm thinking about it, and then they don't do it. Try not to give them a hard time. It's a difficult decision, I'm sure. And it's not just any family member. It can't be a cousin, a primo, can't be abuelo, can't be a nephew. It's, within your closed family nucleus, I guess you can say. The third tip is making sure your data, the information you put in your forms is correct. Some professionals, lawyers, and also people who file on their own think you fill out the form, you fill it out one time, you don't look at it again. You got to make sure it's correct because, we double, triple check. But if you don't check, it's not our team's fault. Like, obviously, if we think it's our team's fault, I check with my team and we'll take a look. But ultimately, the information comes from you. So you have to check, double, triple check it, okay? For us, we call it quality control because we hear a lot of complaints about other law firms saying, or, people saying that other law firms didn't check it for them. Yes, partially it's the law firm, but ultimately it's on you folks. You got to check your data. And specifically, it's not just your date of birth or your name, but we have caught a situation where I think that child's date of birth was wrong. Again, our team and I have some crazy memory, but we cross-reference documents, and sure enough, we looked at the child's date of birth. Your child's date of birth is wrong on this form. So make sure you give him a birthday gift on the correct day. Otherwise, he's going to be asking for another gift on his actual birthday. Anyways, all joking aside, it's very serious, okay? Sure, depends on the data. It might not be that important in the sense that it's not going to result in denial, but there are some boxes, for example, that has to be checked off correctly, especially when it's related to employment type cases. But even if it's like a adjustment of status, there's a section, I believe it's page 2. It asks for the basis, basically the reason for being able to be eligible for adjustment of status. Bonus tip for y'all, then I got to head out. Don't provide so many photos. Our internal rule is about 10 photos. I'm talking about like marriage type cases, okay? But you could provide more than 10, but our rule internally is 10 photos and not of the same event, like a marriage, like a wedding. because the government's going to think, well, is that staged? Are there other photos available? Do you do anything else other than just have the wedding together? I know it sounds ridiculous to ask that for an officer, but they kind of want to have a little bit more overview of your life. So photos with other family members, photos with friends, and obviously don't be wearing the same thing because because if you're, you know, inherently you're going to be wearing something different, but don't stage it to where like, oh, you're wearing the same thing and the government's going to think, I think they're taking photos all on the same day. So, yeah, these officers are not that dumb. If you're thinking about filing a fake case, don't do it. It's going to be really bad for you in the future. Okay. It's not like they're going to deport you or something immediately, but you're not going to be able to get status in the future, even if you have a legit marriage after the fact. So, PSA, please don't file a fake case, even if you think, or even if it's not fake, but you're like shaky, the honeymoon shake. I don't know. It's just weird. There's some cases out there where some people say, well, we're not even living together, but we're still married, but they still communicate with me. I just think it's all weird. I don't know. I have a different personal experience, fortunately. But if it's in that situation, I would withdraw the application. Okay, you got to talk with a lawyer one-on-one, but ultimately you got to think about, is your spouse going to show up to the interview? And if the answer is 10% or more, at least, I hate to put percentages to things, but if there's a pretty good indication that your spouse is not going to show up to interview, I would not move forward with that case. I would withdraw it. But you need to speak with a lawyer one-on-one. That is my disclaimer. And until next time, folks, take care.